Hi, I'm Emily Luchetti, the executive pastry chef at Waterbar in San Francisco. And I've written a lot of cookbooks, but my newest book is called The Fearless Baker, and it's how to take the fear out of baking. So today I have a fearful baker that we're going to turn into a fearless baker, and it's someone you all know very, very well.
Fingers
hey, Tracy.
Crossed. Hey, fingers crossed. You make it sound so easy.
It is.
Okay.
It is. We're going to do it.
Test. This is it, the fearless baker.
Yeah. Now, today we're going to make a carrot cake.
Okay. That's one of my favorites, actually.
Well, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
And you know, and the thing is about baking is there are some rules, but just relax, have a good time, use your common sense, read the instructions. That's a novel idea, isn't it?
You can read, you can do this recipe.
Right, you can do this recipe.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is we have our butter in here.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead and add the brown sugar and the white sugar.
Okay.
You can add it all at once.
Get messy, okay. All the sugar.
Yeah.
A lot of sugar.
That's it.
A lot of sugar.
But it's a big cake, so. I also like to add a combination of white and brown sugar because the brown sugar helps give it a little bit more background flavor and the molassesy flavor.
Oh, okay.
So we're just going to mix this in. You can go ahead and add the eggs.
Okay. 4 eggs.
These are just grated carrots.
These look good.
So you can just dump those in. And then put the walnuts in.
Walnuts, chopped walnuts.
And now some people use pineapple in their carrot cake, but
raisins.
Gross.
No, okay.
Not me. But you can easily throw them in. And now that's an addition you could do and just add.
Okay.
You know, you wouldn't have to alter the recipe. You wouldn't, you know, if you want to do like a quarter of a cup of pineapple or a quarter cup of raisins, just throw them in. Okay, now we're going to sift the ingredients. So the easiest way to sift is just take a strainer, and you're going to do this, and I'm going to pour the ingredients in, and just go back and forth. And see those little hard pieces?
No.
That's what you're trying to make smaller. Just make a shoot out of the parchment paper, and you can use wax paper too if you have that. And also just add a little bit of it at a time, mostly because if you add too much, it's all going to come flying out of the bowl.
Yeah, that's been a common problem with mine.
So you just mix some of it in and get from underneath the bowl there, so that wet stuff. And you don't have to really, you don't have to be that careful with it in the beginning.
And get a little messy, that's okay.
See, that's good. So that's perfect. See how it's nicely evenly blended? And when you look at the bottom like that, you can see that the batter is the same on the bottom as it is all around the top. So now we're going to butter and flour our pan, so then we can put the cake batter right in there.
Okay.
Now the reason you want to butter and flour a pan is so the cake doesn't stick in the pan and you can get it out after it's baked. So there are two things you can do. You can take a pastry brush and some butter, some soft butter, and just spread around like that and make sure you cover the whole thing. Or if you have some Pam or something like that, you can just spray lightly and cover the whole thing as well. And then to do the flour, you just put a little bit of all-purpose flour in here and then tap it around so you have a nice flour coating all the way around. So then you just divide the batter. And usually what I do is kind of eyeball it at first, and then I'll spread it out, because once it's spread out, you can see how evenly you've done it. And if you haven't done it evenly enough, and you know, one looks a lot bigger than the other, then you can, you know, steal a little from one to go to the other.
So these look great. How long do we cook these for?
You cook them in a preheated 350-degree oven for about a half an hour until they're skewered clean. Now, for the cream cheese frosting here, I have cream cheese and butter. And I'm going to mix that while you sift the powdered sugar.
Okay, so we're sifting again to get out.
Right, and you'll see when you put the powdered sugar through there, powdered sugar is really, really lumpy. So
I didn't realize that.
It's really very important to get those lumps out, because what happens is with flour or the sugar, when you put them in with the butter in here, it's going to you're going to have a really hard time getting them out once they're incorporated with all that fat. And I'm just going to have you add a little bit at first.
Okay.
Because I don't want it to spray out. Okay, so here's our frosting, all finished, and now we just have to frost the cake and eat it. Now I'm going to put the cake on a cake stand, but you can also put it on a big platter or something like that. And the first thing you want to do is...
How well it came out.
I know, isn't it gorgeous?
I heard that tip somewhere.
You just want to put some of your frosting here. and then frost, moving it around. And I like to use a offset spatula like this because it makes it much easier to spread. And I didn't go all the way to the edge because you can see that when I'm going to put the next layer on, that it's going to push it out a little bit. So then you just kind of make it like that so it's nice and cemented on there. And I always put most of the frosting on top. I save a little to reserve it. And then I take my spatula and I push it down to the sides. And you do your sides first. And there you have it.